everyone. Welcome back to The Other Side of Now. Linda and I today are going to talk about something that we love to talk about, listening to our gut, following our gut, trusting in our gut, and our gut being that inner place of wisdom within us, our intuition, I don't know, power source, right? And all these names,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And so we said we had to begin with this because Linda and I met through listening to our gut.
That's true.
Right? We were
Yeah.
down the Cape and college students, and within seconds or minutes of meeting each other,
Right.
I'm asking Linda, because I'm hearing something like, ask her to be a roommate. So I
Right.
did. And she just says yes. And
Right. I had no place to stay and you invited us. And we were with there, so it was two for the price of one, but you did. You knew that we were going to be lifelong friends. And I felt the same way. It was
right.
instantaneously gut decision.
Right. So I think that's the place that we felt it in our gut first. It wasn't a thought. There was no logical thinking in this, right? It just came from our gut and we followed it. So I think today we've decided to talk about this because following your gut has this kind of old energy of not everyone believes it, right? Some people still feel maybe it's a wives' tale, maybe, I don't know, we should believe it sometimes, not other times. And we're here to really talk about, I don't know, the wisdom behind it and rewrite that energy.
Right.
But I don't know, I think for both of us, the bottom line is if our gut's talking to us, it's because our body has something important to tell us.
That's right.
And our bodies don't lie.
That's right. That's right. Listen to that inner voice. And sometimes it can be like a whisper kind of a inner voice. Sometimes it can be a roar, right?
Right, right. So I love that roar part because one of the stories I do think about is your story. Like your great story. If you
And that it's a roar. Yeah.
your roaring story.
Yeah. I could not get a whisper story on this one. When I was, this was after I was sick, I was in a car accident that was really bad. But the story isn't about the car accident, believe it or not. It's really what happened before. What happened before, I was driving down a main road and a car started to merge towards me, and was very intimidating. I had never seen a driver that was almost like intimidating and out of control, and got me to notice that. And at the same time, my daughter, Sarah, had called, my older daughter, and I started down the road and I was telling her how scared I was of this man. And I could hear then in the back seat of my car a voice, which was the voice of somebody that had passed away a couple years before, but was a love interest.
Yeah.
And I could hear his very distinct tenor type voice saying, "Get off the cell phone now." And I told my daughter, I said, "I'm sorry, I gotta go." I put the phone down, and all of a sudden I started praying because I felt something was going to happen. And that's exactly what did happen. Behind me was a Big Mac truck. I could hear the screech of the wheels and I could hear the crunch. I had a adorable Toyota Corolla, adorable. It no longer had then a back seat. It had nothing. And when the cab of the truck hit me, it was inches away from where my spine was. So I know. And so what happened was, I guess what I understand later, it had pushed me like not quite 100 feet. And when I awoke, I had passed out. And when I awoke, I saw this part with the cab being this close. And I was so confused. And there was this gentleman that was knocking at my window and said, "You need to get out." He had already put flashes out. Truthfully, he looked like Dan Marino. I'm going to say that. He looked exactly like him. Nice looking man, kind of my age, right? Yeah. And then he helped me out of the car. And I get over to the side, and there are all these people there that were waiting for the ambulance to come, the police to come. They were going to give their statement. Wonderful that they did that. But I said, "Well, what happened to the man that took me out of the car?" And they said, What man took you out of the car? You got yourself out of the car.
Wow. I love
So I
that.
don't know if it was the prayer. I don't know if it was that awful feeling. I don't know if it was that great warning from the back of my car from him.
Yeah.
But whatever reason, I went into the ambulance. I was home that night. There is no way that I should be alive. There was nothing left of this car except for the front seat where I was.
Right, right. I
Yeah.
mean, like,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful example of your gut
Listening to
being
your gut.
divinely guided. That was
Right.
divinely guided for sure.
Right. There was like an inner voice talking to me. And then if I'm just going to add this, Cheryl, to it. My youngest daughter was in Boston and called over and over that day to at that time we had landlines. This is in 2007. And she couldn't reach me. But all day long, from the moment she woke up in the morning, she had a bad feeling about me. And then at the end of the day, I told her, this story and how this happened. And she could not believe it, that it was so much on her. And then when she heard my voice, she burst into tears because she felt so relieved. Yeah.
Right, right. I love that part too, because that's like all of the way we're connected. Our energy's connected, that
Right.
inner wisdom that she knew.
Right.
So when you were like, all of a sudden it says, drop the phone and you're doing that,
Yeah.
you not to pray. Did you think you were going to die?
I felt that I needed to protect myself. I thought I had some hope, but I thought all those people, the menacing guy, and of course the voice in the back, and was a warning. It was a warning something was coming, and I didn't feel like I was going to be able to stop it.
Yeah.
There've been other times that I've had a sick feeling in my stomach. It wasn't like that. It was almost like, just get ready,
Right,
because
right.
this is going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. We can have a gut reaction in all different ways.
It still is going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you follow my warnings, you're going to be okay. This is kind of how I felt. And I mean, it was really a miracle. There's no reason why I'm still here, because the way that the 18-wheeler was traveling, it should have come the whole way through and not have stopped. Yeah. Very
Wow.
strange.
Yeah.
You know?
So I love that. So that's like, for you, following your
Right.
gut was a real game changer, right? It saved your life.
Yeah, you listen to whatever messages you get from our divine helpers. Sometimes they can be people sometimes they could be from sources that you've never met before, like
Right.
that guy that looked like Dan Marino that helped me out. Never have seen him again. But it was a lovely experience, and he took good care of me.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
Well, you've had stuff with this too, with
Yeah.
your inner voice,
Yeah.
right?
Now, you know what? Being divinely guided. So I remember, I'm sure you remember this story, but I was down the Cape. It was the end of the summer, and I was with my kids, and it was a beautiful day. And I remember two things. I felt so peaceful and so happy. So
Right.
my mom, who had passed away,
Oh.
I looked up in the sky, and I'm just like sharing this.
Right.
I used to always see her face or her hands, and I see like a ghoul. That's all I can say. It was like this weird image. I'm like, what? And
Yeah.
I go, no, 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 peaceful, happy.
Right.
I see that ghoul again. So I jump up, I run to our friend, and I say, here's what happened. So she agrees it's pretty wild, but kind of drops it. But you know what? See, with me, with listening to my gut with that, I knew that my gut was trying to tell me something. There was some sort of divine connection with my divine wisdom in
Right.
doing something. So
Right.
when I went home that night and talked with Al about it, what I came to is this place that, I don't know, I think it's kind of common in that I was thinking about going back to work, and I was in this place of peace, but I had this feeling of dread. And it wasn't because I didn't love work or love
you
the
loved it.
people I know, and the kids and everything,
Right.
but it was like jumping into that rat race.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking like, oh my gosh, here I go back again with working, visiting my dad each day, the kids, the list,
Right.
realizing I was never feeling peaceful. I was always feeling I had no time for anyone, never mind myself. I wasn't making anyone happy, not myself.
That's a really good point. Nobody's happy.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So it's that place that we come to where we feel stuck.
Right.
And I think that, so I remember thinking like, well, what can I do about it? Because I mean, these are my pieces, is what I just have to do. And listening to my gut was helped me to realize like we always have choices.
Right.
So we're never stuck. Like I
Right.
love that.
That
And
is so true.
so with that, I took a year off and ended up taking off forever from there.
Right.
And it just opened me up to peace, new opportunities. I ended up being a life coach, energy coach, help
Right.
people that were stuck. I don't
Right.
know, but it helped me just really open up to more things that like maybe my soul was asking me to follow. And that was
Right. And it's almost like, if it's okay for me to say this too, your mother was kind of trying to help you at that moment. Even
absolutely.
though it was such a scary little image, she's saying your life is going to be a little scary if you don't make a change. And you had to take care of her husband, your father as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. Cause I think if she had given me this little happy image,
Right.
I would have gone on tra la tra la.
Right.
And it really made me jolt and go, what? Yeah.
You wouldn't have paid attention to it, which is so different. Sometimes we get these ones that are just very frightening, I think,
Yeah.
at times.
Yeah.
And yet the purpose of it is to pay attention. Some of us need more. I'm a person that needs more of a roar than a whisper a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For that, I know sometimes it's a little heavier than others. If I can share this really one
Yeah.
that was also a little, let's go with the ghoulish, but it did prevent me. I think mine just have been more preventative, the ones I
Yeah.
remember. But I had lived with you guys on the Cape, and then I went to live in Boston trying to get a teaching job, la la la. But in the meantime, I had to work in the summer, and I could not find a job. And I had very little skills in a lot of things. And I answered an ad for modeling, which really was foolish. Here I am, like not even 5'3", who's going to pick me for modeling?
But
And
beautiful.
I know, but I did call them, and they said, well, we have a lot of different ones. We have ones for print, ones that you can use your hands, we can just take pictures of that. Lots of different opportunities, even though I was really short. So I went to the address, and as soon as I touched, there was this iron gate to get in. And as soon as I touched that gate, I started to double over. I felt like I was going to be sick. It was an awful feeling. And there was a voice outside of me that said, do not go in.
Yeah.
Crystal clear, do not go in. And I just stood there almost paralyzed. I really could not move for a minute. And it felt like a really long time at that time. And all of a sudden, I just started walking in another direction. I ended up, doing something totally different that summer. But I think the point was, do not go in, was so wonderful that they told me that, because I was in Boston a little bit longer that summer. And by the end of the summer, there was a raid on this organization, and it was not a modeling agency. It was a trafficking type of thing.
Wow. Wow.
And so I had confirmation like of one thing this one time, to listen to whatever it is that it's like a knowing that you have, that you don't know where it comes from. It comes from someplace else, but you've just got to pay attention.
Yeah. Now, I mean, that was a huge thing to
Oh,
touch the gate and to walk away. Was that the first time that it happened to you? Something like that, as powerful as that?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That one was
Yeah.
huge. And that doubling over. I mean, now like my stomach is the first place that goes with good things or bad things. But at that point, I know you know that, but the first one that was that protective, because this is before even the car accident. I was in my early 20s, and I knew afterwards that if I would continue and ignore it, something bad was going to happen. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was going to be bad. So I walked away. Yeah.
So you know what? So here we're talking about ones that are strong and powerful.
Right. Right.
Like, do you always listen? Like when your gut's talking to you, do you always listen?
Oh no, especially the whisper ones. I don't. No. And then I have the consequences for it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
something that I shouldn't have done, or
Right.
shouldn't have been, or, taking care of some other thing instead. Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I know. So I'm thinking like, so here we are talking about these stories like
These are
empowering
biggies.
people to listen. And I'm like,
Right.
wait a second, but there's always something in it for us to
Right.
really stop and say, okay, I'm going to listen more. I'm really going to pay
Right.
attention. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes we burn ourselves out trying to do everything, and like kind of what happened with you.
Yeah.
And then something will say to me, like in a whisper, if you don't do this, you're going to get sick, or if you don't rest, or
Yeah.
if you sign on for this, or you don't say
Right.
no, or things that I know better that I shouldn't have done, but yet, oh, I have to do it. That person needs me,
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? So
That's,
those are the whisper ones that I totally ignore.
yeah.
Uh, really. And
Rewrite. You're going to start listening to
I'm
them.
trying to rewrite that. I'm
Yeah.
really trying to do
Yeah.
better now in the last maybe year, but I never did before. It was almost like, oh, what's the harm in saying yes and saying yes, but then you say yes to so many things,
Right.
and then you're not paying attention to what you're supposed to be doing. And I do believe we have guidance around us at all times.
Right.
If we listen, our lives could be so much better. But you
Right.
know,
Right. Right. Well, I know one thing is when our gut talks to us, it wants us to listen now, because
right,
if it's like a changer. um, because the one thing that comes to my mind is, do you remember when I read that book, I Remember Union by Flo Magdalena? And it
yes,
was, she had channeled Mary Magdalene, and the story really connected with me. And I remember, like, for 2 years I just like loved this book. I carried it around. Well, anyways, 2 years later, I'm in my kitchen and I hear, go order something from the book. I feel this right within my gut. Go order something online. Now, me and you both, we didn't order things, especially back then.
yeah,
No understanding to this. So, but I listen. I go online, I order it. I close the computer and I think, oh gosh, I didn't even do it right. I know I didn't do it right. So I called them and Flo answers. And what she said is, I'm never here. So the fact that you got me is something. And you're not calling to order anything. You're calling because next weekend I'm having a soul retrieval weekend and your soul wants to be here.
right.
And
I
I
remember
didn't even know what a soul retrieval weekend meant. And I found myself
either
going,
one of us did.
yes, yes, sign me up, I'm coming. And I went, and again, game changer, divinely guided, and opened me up spiritually in such a way.
Right.
But it was so fascinating because, you know, in the kitchen, when it said order it now, it was really like Flo was in the office. I would have missed that, you know?
That's right. That's right. That was such a big one for you. I remember that. Right. Some of them can be little, like even with, like, I don't know, like with my kids, like boyfriends or
Yeah,
their
yeah,
friends, I kind of get a gut feeling about
yeah.
certain ones versus another. Right.
Right, right.
I've even had it with friends. I told you before this. My friend Dee did not want to be my friend. To forget it, she did not get
I
enough
love
friendship.
that
She
story.
did not want to be my friend, and I would not give up. Something in my gut is saying you need to know her. And then when I got sick and all the spiritual things happened, who was with me so much,
Yeah.
right? And I wouldn't have this great retirement if it wasn't for her either. Like she would say no, but that is so true. So she became an important person, but yet, did she want any parts of me? No, not at all. But my gut was saying, don't give up on her. You
Don't
need to
give up.
know her.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
love that. And when you were talking about, your kids, I
right.
think that is a place as parents, as mothers, we mothers are more apt to listen to their gut when it comes to kids, right? Because we would do anything. So it opens us up to these possibilities.
Right.
And yeah, but I was thinking, so we do it as parents, but maybe we should start like really empowering our kids more to listen to their gut, really to get, so instead of just giving them mixed messages, but really empowering them. Because, I was talking to Bree the other day and I said to Bree, do you ever, do you, do you have any regrets from not listening to your gut? And right away she said, oh yeah. And shared a story about her on this, you meet people through these dating websites. And she said within minutes of meeting him, she knew, like, leave. And she said she didn't. She went to that place of logic, of thinking. And she said it was like, oh, I just got here. He seems nice, blah, 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 kind of a thing. And she regrets not having left.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, I mean, nothing bad happened. I mean, just other than, you know,
Right.
making things a little bit more complicated. But the fact is, she knew to leave and she didn't listen to that.
Right.
And I do think it made me think about a lot of kids with this whole safety thing of like whether, they do get a foreboding or whatever. And
Listen.
we could just empower them to
Right.
really listen.
Give them permission to do that. We teach them so many other things that they need to do, but that should be something else that might, if we had that as a conversation, would
Right.
help protect them as well, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
No, I agree. I'm curious to see if our listeners have any stories like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't it be great? I mean, so actually, you know, Linda, I'm actually looking at our time and our time is up anyways, but you bring up a great point that we could go on forever, you and I.
Right, right. So many. But other people have stories too. And it'd be
Yes.
great to hear people's stories if they would contact us in our website and let us know some of their stories of things that have happened and it doesn't have to be huge. It can be whispers or it can be the roar. It can be whatever they
Yeah.
want to share. But it would be fascinating to listen to other people because we know we're all having the same human experience, right?
That's right. That's right. And we're all opening up to these new kinds of ideas, and maybe we can all begin to listen to our gut.
That's right.
I don't
That's
know.
right. I
So,
love it.
oh, Linda, this was so fun.
Oh, so good to have time with you.
All right. So, everyone, goodbye. Let's
Oh,
stay connected. Until
yes.
next time. Bye.
Goodbye.